Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Nighttime. We have a football-filled show starting with UCF's historic loss to Baylor, the AP poll review, and college football superlatives. I have a Nighttime Hall of Famer joining me today as co-host, so stay tuned because Nighttime starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Welcome back, and we are, of course, joined by my new co-host because Tyler is at a football game, Camden Mowry. Camden, how are you doing? Welcome back. How does it feel?
Well, I saw the ratings were down on the show, and I know we needed a little bit of a step up, and so I said, Tyler, you go to Red River, I'll put the team on my back and come help the show out. But that's me. I'm so happy to be back, honestly. Thank you, Maddie, for thinking of me. I have missed this so much.
Actually, you nominated yourself. Actually, Tyler nominated you.
That's true. That actually did happen.
I had no input.
Well, thank you for having me come on, even though I kind of nominated myself. But let's go ahead and introduce our guests over at the couch. We've got Isaiah, Diana Delgado, and we've got Nick Cohen. How you boys over there doing today?
You hit
Doing good.
I'm feeling all right.
A lot of energy coming from that way. I know in the run-through he was like, more energy, Maddie. And now here we are. We have a lot of energy because our Knights were up 35-7. Woo! That means they won, right?
Nope.
Oh,
No
a lot
comment.
of silence going on. What happened, Maddie? What happened in that game?
Baylor scored 29 straight unanswered points. Isaiah, actually tell us what happened in the game. What was the flow of the game? How did this happen?
We started out absolutely on fire. Okay, we had 3 long touchdowns in that first half. Defense, offense, everybody's clicking. We've just got them going long. We've got Javon Baker getting like 65-yard touchdown. We've got Williams scoring like a 79-yard fumble return. Everybody's just scoring constantly. And the defense is getting no time to do anything, including breathe. So when halftime hits, I think we just killed all of our own momentum. Halftime is really what stopped us in that game. If we would have ended it the first half, we were winners by a big margin. But after that first quarter, everybody kind of dipped out, and that kind of included the morale of the team, it looked like.
Yeah, and Nick, where was the point where the game kind of turned for the Knights negatively?
First of all, it was Parents' Week, so on behalf of the football team, I apologize to the parents for needing to see this historic collapse. I believe after half is when the game just collapsed for UCF. There was a fumble, there was 2 picks by Timmy McLean. It just all went downhill from there.
Yeah, I think that you could say that 2 things at once can be true, with the point being that the fans should have stayed, right? They shouldn't have left because maybe it did drain the morale. But at the same time, the team needs to perform better as a whole. I mean, there's some miscues that can't happen, like the fumble that got returned for a touchdown. Other things like that were in the second half just kind of derailed the team. And so, yes, fans should have stayed. But again, the team needs to give them a reason to stay. I get it. You're up 35-7. You want to go out and party. But you got to stay and support the Knights because we need our first Big 12 win.
Let me ask you a quick question. When the offense has the ball and they're up by 28 points, would you say it's smart to continue snapping it early on in the clock?
Well, I can throw this to, this was the same thing that USC did where they were up by, 28-35, where they ran a lot of plays where there was a lot of time left in the play clock, and that is exactly what you're saying UCF did, I'm guessing, because I did not watch the game. But yes, that is something that you should not do. Thank you for the very, what's the word for it? The question that doesn't need to be answered because that was such an obvious question, Isaiah.
It was an obvious question, but why didn't our coaching staff put that together when they were out there? They continued to not run the ball. That's what they should have done. They tried forcing the ball down the throats of the defense in that first possession of the second half. They ran it, I think, 9 times when they only ran it 12 times the entire first half. And it killed all their momentum, but there was no, they didn't eat the clock. I think they had about 6 minutes. They had less than 7 minutes worth of possession time in the first half. And your defense can't sustain that amount of energy throughout the entirety of the game.
And then there's been a lot of talk about the student section, like you guys mentioned. Nick, what's your take on that? You were there, right? What is your take on that?
I was there, and I was there till the end of the game. Nail-biter, missed field goal. But I looked back, and there was maybe 100 people in our student section. That can't be done. It's embarrassing. And, the players, that fuels them. The student section fuels them. And so when there's no fans there to support them, I'm not saying that the fans not being there was the whole reason why we collapsed, but it definitely played a part. I think if the students stayed the whole game like we had in the previous games, maybe it could have been different.
Yeah, well, the problem is it's not even just this game where this has been an issue. Javon Baker tweeted about the fact that it's been a reoccurring issue throughout the season, fans leaving early. You've got people hosting shows like Nighttime that aren't even going to the games. How many of you guys were at the game? Camden?
Hey,
I was
man.
definitely there.
Maddie?
Prior
Okay.
obligations come up.
Yeah,
but
okay.
here's
So
what
when
I-
the student section has shows called Nighttime and we don't even have the students that are the biggest fans supporting, like, I don't blame the students or the fans for us having the loss, but I do think UCF as a university and program has done a lot of things that have hurt us, whether it be the coaches making bad calls, the players being gassed in the second half, which also kind of falls on the coaches, or the fan section kind of demanding more out of this Big 12 program when we're still losing and our team isn't getting Big 12 support. So the bounce house, when Javon Baker tweeted, y'all doing the wrong kind of bouncing, I 100% felt that, because by the end of the game, we had maybe 40%, and we were never at sold out capacity. I know it probably said sold out. It was never filled. So
Right.
I don't know. We're just falling short on all aspects this first season in the Big 12.
What I want to say before I throw back to you, Maddie, UCF did end up losing 36-35. I don't think we mentioned the score. But what I wanted to say was we got to give some credit to Timmy McLean. I know a lot of the hate will go on him, or at least on the team, for not performing well. But that play that he had on 4th and 5 where he was going backwards and backwards and spinning, that was absolutely insane. And at least when the moment counted, when it mattered, they didn't just give up. They didn't just lay down. They got in at least relative field goal range. We would like to see a couple more yards there to hit, a 64-yarder for Colton Boomer. So the team at least did enough to try to get in a position to win. So it's not like they just laid down and didn't do anything at the end of the game, right, Maddie?
Yeah, I agree. And then real quick, do you guys expect to win next week against Kansas really quick?
I would like for us to win. Jalen Daniels, the starting quarterback for Kansas, was out last week against Texas, and they got blown out, as Tyler would say. But, Nick, what do you think?
I think that you should go into every game every week thinking that anything can happen. I do think we're definitely underdogs because they're 4-1. I would like to see us win as well. I think it could happen, but it'll be a tough game for sure.
Yeah, we deserve to be underdogs, especially if both quarterbacks are not going to play. It makes the game a little bit more interesting. But
JRP is questionable
JRP
to
is
return
questionable.
this
Thank you
game.
very much. I definitely knew that.
That's
but
all the time we have for this week, for this segment, sorry. Let's kick it to my nightlight. It is a soccer player, which is a huge reason why the UCF soccer team is now ranked number 2 in the nation. I will let you know when we come back from break.
Jack, buddy, why are you here? I don't really understand why I'm here. I got called a delusional fan. I just don't understand why I'm delusional if I think Kirk Cousins had the best mustache in the league.
Well, Jack, buddy, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I don't think anybody looks cool in handlebars.
But they're back, man. They're back.
They're not. They're not. Sometimes you just got to face the hard truth. It's right there in front of you. All these people, they're calling you delusional, but sometimes you got to worry about, am I projecting? Is it me? And in this
Let me
case,
tell you something, bud. It could never be me. Anything I say is factual and truth, and that's why the Vikings are going 16-1 this year.
organization, you have to look at your roster and say, I've had Kirk O'Duggins for 6 years. Maybe it's time to move on.
There is no moving on from Perk Thuggins and Justin Jefferson.
Do you think that maybe this all started just because of a little disappointment?
Nothing has started. This is how I live, and I am not delusional. I'm a prophet.
Welcome back. If you didn't know, it is the reigning Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week, Juanvi Munoz. The goalie has 2 clean sheets on the season, 27 saves, and a 5-1 record. Now, there is a situation going on the couch. First, we have first-time guest Ryan Moore. Is this your on-air debut?
Yes, ma'am.
Making his on-air debut for Nighttime. And then longtime guest Patrick Preverty, and of course, my co-host Camden Mowry. And there's a situation going on. I'll just throw it to the couch.
hey guys, how you doing? Good to have you on for the first time, by the way. So we're gonna play a video in a little bit, not right now. Patrick did come on Nighttime, and he said that Notre Dame would beat Ohio State, and that did not happen, as you can see. And he said, I will go on Nighttime and facepaint myself.
Actually,
so that
let's play the video now.
Let's play the video
now.
first. Let's do it first because that makes more sense. Let's do that video. Let's go.
I am hoping and praying that we don't lose another big game against a top-ranked team. This would really hurt me. I probably will cry, but I'm very confident. Even though Ohio State's favored by 3.5 points, I actually think that line has moved since. It's maybe now 3. Notre Dame is home. It's in South Bend. Give me the Fighting Irish. We have the sexiest quarterback in the nation right now.
Sam
We are
Hartman.
just,
Oh,
you know,
we're like
balling
Sam
out of
Hartman.
control. We have a great run game this year. And if we don't win, I'll paint my face with Ohio State colors and come on nighttime next week. for
Okay,
that.
I'm down for that. Okay.
So we've got kind of Ohio State colors here. Do you want to say anything before I do this?
Well, Sam Hartman is still the sexiest quarterback in the nation. Go
That's
Irish.
the truth.
Gotta feel good about that
Good.
win against Nuke. Let's do this. We're gonna give a nice OHIO. Oh, this
I'm
is actually
concerned
not
for
gonna work.
Camden's handwriting. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he's not getting an OHIO. He's. Oh my God. Can you feel it? For a chance?
I feel you doing it on my face.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Let me get to the other side now.
I think.
Oh, this is not.
Oh, that's super bright. I did a good job buying that.
Yeah, good job, Maddie.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah. Do you want to live it on the forehead too, or no?
Yeah.
You
Give him
wanna-
the
chin
full
strap?
treatment.
Hold on, let me give you a nice chin strap.
Full
Oh,
treatment.
now you look like me. Let's give you a nice one right there.
Oh wait, I need a clown nose. I need
Clown
a clown
nose?
nose.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, Patrick.
Yes. Aw.
Ta-da.
Patrick, it complements your skin really well.
That's a dig. I know that's a dig. I'm lit like I'm a ghost right now, man. It's way too bright. I can barely see the camera. But this is an awful time for me. I did cry profusely after the game. 10 players out on the field. We'll get into that later on, though. But
Okay.
Awful.
So, welcome Ryan to the show. I know that was a lot. We don't normally do that, but we might if you have a bad take, so be prepared. So, let's get into some college football risers and fallers. We had some movement in the AP polls. I want to start with number 15, Oregon State, who rose 4 spots. Ryan, what can you tell me about them?
Oregon State, they traveled to Pullman a week ago to play Washington State, and Cam Moore just absolutely lit them up to the tune of 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And this week coming back, they were at home against Utah, who was previously ranked number 10 in the country, and just dominated that game from whistle to whistle. It wasn't really close. Utah really is missing Cam Rising, and Oregon State made them pay for it. DJ Uyunglele played very well, and that run game and the weapons at Oregon State, they're a real threat in the Pac-12.
Patrick, do you have any thoughts on Oregon State's win over Utah?
yeah, I think Oregon State looks like a really good team in the Pac-12. I'm curious at what you think their ceiling is as far as like how good they could be against the other teams in the Pac-12. Big win. Didn't have Cam Rising, like you said.
Yeah.
What's their ceiling, you think, in the Pac-12?
As the year goes on, if DJ continues to play well and reaches anywhere close to his ceiling, Oregon State's a real threat to win the Pac-12.
I would agree, in all honesty. I'm interested in the Washington-Oregon game coming up, but Oregon State I could definitely see sneaking in there.
Yeah, I don't want to plug the old YouTube, but I did make a short over summer that was like why Oregon State could win the Pac-12. And this Pac-12 is so good. I mean, I did not realize how good this conference would be. Probably going to end up beating themselves up, but love Oregon State. That game against Washington State, I know it was a 3-point game, wasn't relatively close throughout part of the game. I know that they ended up getting it close at the end, but I believe it was like 35-14 at one point in the game. And like you said, the quarterback tore them apart. So Oregon State beating Utah without Cam Rising. I think Cam Rising's there, they win that game, but Oregon State's defense is legit still.
And then speaking of Utah, they obviously fell 8 spots with the loss. And Cameron Rising is not back, but I think he should come back soon. Do you
Hopefully.
think they can rise back up again when Cameron Rising hits the field?
Nice. Go ahead, Patrick. Yeah.
I think they can.
I think they can too. They've
Yeah.
had Oregon's number over the past few years. They've been absolutely killing them. Consecutive Rose Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Consecutive Pac-12 championships.
Yeah, they beat USC twice last season. Once, was it in Salt Lake City?
Yes, it was.
Yes, I believe.
And then once in the Pac-12 title game to go to the Rose Bowl and knock USC out of the playoff picture. Utah with Cam Rising is very dangerous, but if they don't get him back soon, they'll fall too far behind.
They probably have to win out in order to get a shot since they did lose that conference game. I mean, maybe they can afford one more loss, but it does seem like Utah does need to run the table for the rest of the year.
And then, of course, we had a big SEC matchup with Ole Miss and SEC. Ole Miss is in the SEC, right?
Yes.
Okay. Ole Miss rose 4 spots. They're now number 16. And LSU, I can't even believe they're ranked, but we'll get to that. Ryan, what were your thoughts on Ole Miss? How did they impress you in this game?
Ole Miss, coming off the game against Alabama where everybody thought this was Kiffin's chance to finally beat Nick Saban, and they laid an egg. They scored 10 points, and they weren't really very competitive throughout the second half of that game. Now, they come back, and LSU is a favorite because LSU this year has had a very good offense. Jaden Daniels has played very well, and they went blow for blow. They started the game off, I think it was 28-0, 28-7, something along those lines, and they withstood LSU's comeback attempt, and Jackson Dart played fantastic. The run game was very good. Ole Miss is a threat to win the West right now because that side of the SEC is very open.
Yeah, and they have to be really happy with how Jackson Dart played. It looks like it clicked completely for him against LSU. And you're right, they laid an egg last week, and you're thinking, like, where is this season headed? Like, you have another loss against Alabama again. Like, what is the ceiling for the Rebels? And they put up 700 yards of offense, 350 yards passing, I believe, almost like around 300 for rushing, somewhere around those lines. And they just looked really good. And LSU is a good team. Like, they've had 2 losses against, 2 highly ranked teams, Ole Miss at 16 and FSU at, 5. So those are 2 really good squads. And that's a good team. That's a good win for Ole Miss. And like you said, yeah, the West is wide open right now in the SEC. I could easily see them making it to Atlanta.
I could even see LSU running the table and still making it to Atlanta. Like, that division is still very open. LSU still has everything except for the college football playoff in front of them at this point.
Then, Camden, we talked a little bit about this, about LSU still being ranked. They're a 2-loss team. They're number 23. Is this SEC bias, or do you think they should be ranked?
I should have voiced my concerns before last week, because Tyler tried to tell me, that was a good win LSU had against Arkansas. I was like, they struggled. They beat Arkansas by 3, and KJ Jefferson, we saw how they looked against Texas A&M, right? Now, this loss where defense was optional by both teams, I know Patrick said it. LSU is a good team. That's not what they're supposed to be. This year, they were one of the top 8 title contenders. Jaden Daniels was supposed to win the Heisman this year as a dark horse. And look, they already have 2 losses, and they've been disappointing. They should not be ranked. And yes, I do believe, like you said, it is SEC bias, because you look, Ole Miss ranked at 16th after they laid that turd against Alabama. And then, of course, they beat a top-ranked LSU team. LSU falls just to 23 to give them a quality top 25 win. Meanwhile, a 1-loss Pac-12 team will get in over a 1-loss SEC team. I'll say that. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Just want to put that out there.
Patrick, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely agree. It's been happening over the last however long or however many years that the college football playoff has been a thing, that the SEC team will always be they'll have the top 1-loss team, and they'll always have a few teams right down there from like 20 to 25 range. So I agree with that. And I also agree that the Pac-12, if they had a 1-loss team compared to an SEC 1-loss team, if they're non-conference champs, would probably get into the playoff.
I hope so.
But I agree also with the LSU take. You think that they're going to be great. They were one of my top teams this year, and they just have fell flat.
Good is not good enough for LSU. I mean, we went into the year expecting them to kind of be different against Florida State, right? It was kind of like, hey, they're going to win this game. Ole Miss should not have been a loss. I get it. Ole Miss is a good team. But at the start of the year, if I told you LSU is going to be, 3-2, 2-2, you'd be like, disappointing. Disappointing.
Yeah. Brian Kelly, he showed it again. He was a fraud at Notre Dame. They would win a lot of games, and then the big game would come along and they'd lose. He's a fraud at LSU. He's proven that time and time again. He proved it last year. They got blown out at home by Tennessee last year. They got blown out in the SEC title game. Brian Kelly he'll win the games he's supposed to, but the big games show up, and his teams don't.
Let's not throw it that far. I mean, they did beat Alabama last year, so that is halfway impressive, right? We can give them that. I'm just going to take it straight to the nightlight. I know we got to go to commercial. I'm not going to do one of these nightlights in a while. My nightlight is going to be somebody on the UCF football team, because I have not been keeping up that much with UCF sports. Sorry, guys. But I'll let you know who it is when we get back from the commercial break.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Dominic Mullen. Welcome to Hitting the Field Network. Our first show that you're going to see on YouTube is Hitting the Field Main Show, hosted by yours truly on Mondays at noon, where you'll see me with a fresh fade and fresh news. I'll also be talking a little bit of the hottest topics in sports, and we are going to be arguing mainly on there. On Tuesdays at noon, you'll see Isaiah Deonda Delgado and Ty Patton on the Combine. Just more of a podcast, laid-back style of a show. And if you're looking for the most creative segment ideas, head on over there on Tuesday. On our off day, don't forget to check out the studio vlogs on Wednesdays. Andrew Montano does a great job of giving a little bit of the behind-the-scenes look into Hitting the Field. Moving to Thursdays, speaking of Andrew Montana, him, Philip Powell, and Ezra Hines lead the way on HTF Bets. The Bets boys always come dressed to impress, and if you're looking to win some money and catch up on the latest betting lines, that's the show for you. On Fridays, you're going to head over and see Maddie Glass and the always wrong Tyler Brownrigg on Nighttime to break down everything about college sports. If you go to UCF or are interested in UCF sports, this is the best place for you. Sorry, Tyler. Our newest show here at Hitting the Field on Saturdays is Girl Talk, hosted by Kirsten Blaylock and Lexi Zolo. The all-female hosted show tackles breaking news all across the sports world, and as well reliving the history and current state of your favorite team. Check that show out Saturdays at noon. Again, I am your main show host, Dominic Moeller, and if you're enjoying this content, don't be afraid to subscribe to our Hitting the Field YouTube and check out our Instagram. But for now, that's all. I'll see you on main show. Take care.
Welcome back to Nighttime, the last time I'll probably get to introduce this segment. As we are here with my nightlight, it is going to be Johnny Richardson, because this guy had only 6 carries, had over 100 yards, had that huge run at the start of the game that got him into the end zone, and after that, very quiet from him. Now, let's get back to segment 3, where we're going back to everyone's specialty, college football. We've got Noah Kemper on the couch. Noah, Patrick's still here, by the way, but boo. Noah, how you doing over there?
It's good to be back again, for sure.
Yeah, Noah, do you see what Patrick's face looks like right now? I mean, you can see the red all over it. He looks beautiful, doesn't he?
Oh, it's
How do I look?
it's something.
Oh my God! You can't even fake it. You can't even fake it.
You look amazing.
It's
Okay,
colors
thank
of a team that is going to beat Maryland this week, but I'm sure we'll get into that, won't we, Maddie?
We will get into that. So this week, for this segment, we're going to be doing some college football superlatives, hand out some awards, we're going to talk some talk. Let's just start with, let's go right into it. The most disappointing team. I think a lot of us probably have some of the same picks, but I'm going to start with Noah. Noah, who is your most disappointing
Don't
team?
do it. Don't
hurt me.
season?
Don't hurt me, please.
I'm,
I'm sitting right
I'm
here. I've
sorry.
already been hurt enough.
I'm sorry. This is just a long time coming. It really is. It's Notre Dame. It's the Fighting Irish. And before you say, oh, they just beat Duke, I don't care. Because guess what?
What?
When they make the playoffs, they've been outscored 61-17 in the playoffs, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this team being overhyped year in and year out. Yes, they're a good program. Are they great? No.
What does that have to do with this year? What is them
because
losing in the
same
playoffs?
thing's gonna happen. Watch, they're gonna beat Louisville. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Notre Dame's back," and just get curb stomped to USC.
Noah,
it's the same thing year in and year out, and it's gonna happen again this year.
Noah, you're the type of guy to be like, Alabama deserves to be in because they'd be favored over everyone. Is that you? Is that you? Because that sounds like what we're saying right
just
now.
Watch. When that game happens, it's gonna be.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be a catastrophe.
Patrick, go ahead.
Well, personally, I'm glad that Notre Dame won last week against Duke, because that would have made me look even worse. But my most disappointing team is LSU. We talked about them a little bit prior to this. I don't know if Brian Kelly is a fraud per se, but very disappointing. Should have been a great team, but they are a good team, going off of what Camden said. So
right. We can say relative to expectations that Alabama's been underwhelming, but I'm also going to go on the LSU train just because of where they were supposed to be at the start of the year. I honestly can't think of many other teams that have been, maybe like TCU coming off a national championship performance, but I think we all expected them to take a step back. But honestly, I feel like LSU, maybe Clemson might be the right team, but we'll get into that later.
Thank you. I thought somebody was going to take Clemson. Clemson was supposed to be a contender. They're not even ranked now. 3-2. They lost to Duke, which Duke is good, but come on. And then a lot of hype about the offense. DJ Ugalele is off to Oregon State, and he has Oregon State at number 15. So, I think they're disappointing. Let's just move on right into disappointing coach, because Camden, I know you have a graphic prepared for that. You got a statement prepared?
You want me to? Can I be Tyler Brownrigg today?
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney needs to get out. No. Okay. So let's be honest here. They came in as a top 10 team. I thought Clemson would win the ACC. I was so far off of Florida State, and then they absolutely looked like turds against Duke. And I get it. Duke has been over expectations, but still, Clemson has not looked good against the teams they played against. They struggled in the first half against whoever that team was that they ended up blowing out. That was a non-conference opponent. Don't even know who it was. But Dabo Swinney, the issue is with the most disappointing coach is that you got to adapt with the times, dude. Everybody is doing this whole transfer portal doohickey, right? They're all doing it, and yet you're the only one not taking in transfers, it seems like. And you said transfer portal. I'm against it. Then be against it and get off of college football, because that is the new era. Boys, go.
Dabo sucks. I agree.
Do you guys have any other coaches who you feel like
I was looking over to Noah. Do you have a coach?
So I was thinking Bill Napier, because he has been under a lot of heat lately, and that loss to Kentucky by sure, that tanked his stock. So
yeah, I said earlier this year I thought I could see him getting fired at some point next year, because their schedule next year is just crazy.
It's absolutely brutal.
Maybe I'll just keep going. Brian Kelly, most disappointing right now. I think he didn't really have him ready to play against FSU. Something happened in the second half there. And just overall, losing big games. Did have the game against Alabama last year, but like Camden said earlier, what does last year matter? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
That doesn't matter. So this year, he's been disappointing.
Maddie, how about you?
I think we should get into some positivity before we talk about a certain game. Who do you think has had the best win of the season? I'm going to go first. I'm just going to say Texas over Alabama. I think it's easy pick.
Good choice.
Texas got the monkey off their back. They, took that step. up. And even though it seems like Alabama won't be a playoff team, it's still a huge win. Like, Texas got a huge win for the first time in a while. So, Patrick, who do you think had the best win of the year?
Ohio State, I think, over Notre Dame probably is the best win of the year. They were down for a good chunk of that game and came back, and it really just showed like the heart and the toughness that Ohio State admittedly does have. So I think that's probably the best win of the year. Maybe Texas over Alabama is still better. I will definitely say Texas will have the best resume if they win this week, which I know we're gonna get into eventually later.
Noah, that's you.
I'm taking a game that's probably going to fly under the radar. It's when Penn State absolutely demolished then-ranked Iowa 31-0, kind of really putting themselves on the map, showing they are a playoff team. And I still believe it. I believe it since day one. Their quarterback looks absolutely amazing, and they just keep rolling.
Let's go week 1, Colorado TCU. I mean, that was probably a game that all of us were watching, if not saw what happened. And it was just very impressive to see a 1-11 team win that game.
Yeah, I would agree. And speaking of Iowa, they could be most disappointing too. There was a lot of hype about their offense. It didn't happen, obviously, for them. And then let's go right into your most surprising team. I think a lot of us have the same pick. Camden, you want to go first?
My most surprising team.
Who surprised you the most this season?
I'm gonna go Oregon State. No, you know what? I'm gonna go Washington State. I want to stick in the Pac-12. Washington State has been a team that I feel like nobody talked about at the start of the year, even though how much I love Oregon State, but they absolutely dismantled them. I'm going Washington State, and I feel like they can win a couple of these games and maybe contend to win the Pac-12. Maybe.
Patrick, do you have any thoughts on that?
I definitely love the pick. I mean, I'm going to go from the Pac-12 back to the Big 12. I have to keep singing the praise of Texas, man, because Tyler's not here to check me about it. Red River's coming up. I just love the way that they're playing right now. They haven't had very many close games outside of the Wyoming game, which was 10-10 and late in the fourth quarter. But they took care of business, didn't slip up, didn't ruin their season. And they took care of Kansas last week, and they beat Baylor. And they've had just an emotional roller coaster about Texas is back kind of feeling. Steve Sarkisian has them ready to play. And Quinn Ewers, truly a Heisman pick, in my opinion. I'm going to go with Texas because I don't think a lot of people expected that this year.
Noah?
I agree. That's a great pick.
Thank you.
I got to go out of the SEC. I got to take Missouri, a team that posted a very disappointing 6-7 record. People saying, "Oh, is this the new Vanderbilt?" Well, now ranked 23rd and found a stud wide receiver at leading, in all receiving yards right now, and they have a bright spot right now. The best Tigers team right now. I can say that. So
okay, we got to end the superlatives early because we got to get into our primetime picks this week. Very special game. Number 12, Oklahoma, and number 3, Texas at Red River. Texas is favored by 6.5 points. My graphic is probably wrong because the lines were moving. The over-under is 60.5. Camden, you go first. You're in Tyler's seat, so I don't know what you're going to do, but you go first.
Can I be honest with you? I don't know what I'm going to do because
then we can transition to the next.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off.
All right, Camden. Patrick. My God.
Well, I thought he was joking for a second. I know exactly who I'm going to pick in this game. I'm going Texas. Quinn Ewers balling out. He's going to win the Heisman. I tell you what, man, I love the way that they're playing. And I think Oklahoma's really good, but I don't know if they're a top-level team nationally. But I do truly believe that about Texas. Give me Texas and the points, or else I'll do this again, and I'll paint my face. I'll paint my face Oklahoma red next week.
Okay, well, I'm not buying new face paint for that. So.
I don't care. I have nothing to lose.
All right, Noah, real quick, who are you taking?
I'm taking Texas, too, because when they beat Kansas 14-40, I had my tissues ready for that game. So I think it might be another beatdown right there.
Yeah. I am also going Texas, horns up. Camden.
Horns up. I'll finish off real strong here. I'm going Oklahoma because start of the year I picked Oklahoma to make it to the Final Four. I know Texas is probably the better team, and I got to do Tyler Strong, but I believe in Dylan Gabriel, and I believe in Oklahoma's defense to be able to defeat Texas somehow, some way. Oklahoma.
Yes, I love that pick. Thank you for watching this episode of Nighttime. Camden, thank you for joining. Patrick, Noah, thank you also for joining. Stay tuned next week where we will continue talking about all your favorite college sports. Thanks.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques.